today we're going to be picking up where we left off and continuing our playthrough of Pillars of Eternity. I was going to... Well, we'll see. I'm considering doing a little bit more of this dungeon. I think we're on level 6 right now. But yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll continue... Yeah, maybe I'll continue wandering around in here a little bit longer. So, last episode, we started taking a look through Audenois, which is the awesomely mapped sort of mega dungeon. We talked a little bit about large-scale dungeons in role-playing games in general, and more specifically, we were talking a little bit about the ways that dungeons can be constructed and the way that a dungeon is sort of crafted for role-playing games, whether you're talking about a tabletop game or a computer role-playing game. So let's take a look. Let's at least explore the rest of this level. Make sure we've got kind of everything sorted out in the dungeon, and yeah, see what's around. I was saying earlier that I'm actually pretty happy with the way that this dungeon is constructed. A lot of the time, these sorts of environments are built in such a way that they're just combat environments. They're just places where you have fights, which I find really frustrating from a sort of dungeon standpoint. It's nice when they have lore built into them, when there's additional information that you learn about the world of the game by the tombs and what have you that populate the underside of it. This is something that I found kind of frustrating about Icewind Dale, was that I would have liked there to be maybe more of that stuff, more lore built into the dungeons. But then I haven't played it in a very long time, so I might be misremembering it. One thing I'm enjoying about this is that I've seen monsters in here for the first time, and learned about those monsters via both the game teaching me about them and by the dialogue, the quest options that I had. So we learned that ogres are intelligent in this setting. They're as intelligent as humans, but they're incredibly aggressive, particularly towards each other, which is quite interesting, I thought. So, you know, part of what makes me want to continue doing the dungeon is to see what other things we can learn, what other things the game wants to sort of show us by its encounters in the dungeon environment. So I'll finish this level up. I said, I think before, that I was going to continue until it felt like I'd sort of out-leveled myself dungeon-wise, like I was in an area of the dungeon that was too dangerous for what I was currently doing. So I'm going to press on with that strategy for now, and we'll see how far it takes me. I'm also testing out my new character, Palagina. I want to see if she's a passable replacement for the mechanically useful but fictionally sort of dull Adar, who was my tank that I was using before.
Which is not very quiet.
Oh, there's a third seal, which appears to be the last of the seals that I need. There you go. Find a use for the 3 seals. Find a use for these loose seals. Yeah, so that's something that happened in the last one. I wandered in and I discovered that the dungeon contained these 3 different seals. We can see them here. They look a little bit like cookies. The Bloodstone Overseer seal, the Sapphire Overseer seal, and the Peridot Overseer seal. So I assume that these are going to be slotted into some kind of dungeon machine later on that allow me to access a new area, which would be pretty cool. I've talked about it a little bit on Twitter, but I've been rereading lately a book called Playing at the World, which is a history of, basically, of Dungeons and Dragons, of sort of pre-D&D, where games like Dungeons and Dragons came from, the early history of war games, and how they led up to eventually how they led up to Dungeons and Dragons. So I feel like that's really coloring my approach to reading, to playing role-playing games in general, like tabletop games, but also, I mean, every modern RPG that really exists owes its existence to Dungeons and Dragons. So learning about the history of D&D is also teaching me the history of all of these other games, and it blows me away. Like, it never ceases to amaze me how much we owe to Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, and basically they're contemporaries for so much of modern gaming, and not just in the obvious ways, not just in like RPGs as we imagine them, but in so many concepts. Like, you know, hit points are a thing that comes from Dungeons and Dragons. Characters leveling up, Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it's fantastic, and I love the idea that there's this history of these types of games and of games in general that's been made available to us. So it's a weighty tome. It's very academic the way that it's written. I really like it. You can read it in bits and pieces. So if there's the chapters aren't meant to be linear. So if you're checked out and you're not interested in learning about 1940s German wargaming, you can skip that section and go right to the D&D stuff. It's called Playing at the World. It's written by John Peterson. It's absolutely fantastic. If you own an e-reader, read it on that, because the book is like a foot thick. But it's, for me, that kind of stuff. Like, I'm an inveterate learner. I love knowing where things come from and why things are the way that they are. And so if you're that way as well, it might be of interest to you. If you want to get your nerdy reading on. I feel like it's a good companion to series like Designers and Dragons, which is a little bit more, I don't know, I want to say like easy to access. Because Designers and Dragons focuses more on the business side and a little less on the sort of historical side. Random Civilian Zero, thank you for the subscription. Welcome. Welcome to the Math Squad. Griffin says hi too. So yeah, I mean, the reason all that came up, the reason I was thinking about that sort of prehistorical Dungeons and Dragons stuff is because I want to know where these constructs come from. Basic D&D, like original OD&D based on Chainmail, is a war game derived game built for having a subset of those characters. So in wargaming, you've got an entire legion, maybe led by a hero. So Dungeons and Dragons was built from that, saying, okay, what if those heroes just went off on their own and did some dungeon adventuring? Like Conan in Red Nails. And so the original game was literally just dungeon stuff. There was no talk of like towns. There was no, like, none of that. So what's really cool is looking at that and how that's changed and what stayed the same. Like, how is my exploration of this area? How is the endless pass of Audenois? How is that the same as what Gary Gygax had originally designed in Dungeons & Dragons, and how is it different? Like, what's changed since then? And I mean, honestly, if you care about a thing, if you're interested in a thing, knowing where that thing came from can be really fascinating. So even if you're not a big D&D nerd like I am, but you are interested in CRPGs and fantasy RPGs in general, it's worth looking into. It's a fascinating lineage, and role-playing as a topic is so new that we're really kind of still in the infancy of what it can do. So let's, I think I'm going to take a wild guess and say this is where those things slot in that I picked up. Let's talk to this lost spirit. Hello, is someone there? Oh gods, I can't see. Who are you? I cannot hear myself. How am I to tell her anything? Please, there's nothing here. Please, will I never be out of this place? Turn back, come no further. The gods cannot reach us. Wow, bummer. I told her, please, let me out, let me out. 2 large, heavy doors bar passage forward. In the archway above the doors are 3 small round depressions encircled by faded symbol. Each appears to have once contained an object, but all 3 are currently empty. Let's examine the left socket. Is there a groin socket among them? Okay, so here, let me grab my notebook. I'm gonna go ahead and see which. I want to note which inventory items go where. Okay, so I've got these 3 seals. We were looking at those before. Here we go. So Bloodstone is a sword, surprising no one. All right, Bloodstone sword. Because my memory is terrible, I can't remember 3 things in order. Sapphire Eye. And Peridot Chisel. Okay, alright. So, if I examine the sockets, the left socket is an eye. So there's my sapphire seal. Done. Okay. The middle socket is a sword. So, bloodstone sword. Yep. And the right socket is a hammer. Now, I don't have a hammer, but I assume the hammer and the chisel go together. So let's see what happens. Try to open the door. Yeah, you brace yourself to heave the doors open, only to find that they open readily under your hands. With a great groan and a gust of wind, the path forward is revealed. Hooray! And the ghost just disappears. Alright, later, dude. See you later, Casper. Let's celebrate by triggering a trap.
Quit.
Oh, no fast mode. Alright, onward. I believe that this next area is... I believe that this next area is level 7? Yeah, level 7. Alright. So level 7's got some warm tones. Level 7 is kind of orange. There's some skeletons tied to a post. That's great. Creepy Engwithans. I was about to go into stealth mode, but... Alright. Earth the Blights. So remember from before, we looked in the monster manual of this game, basically, and we learned that Earth Blights, Wind Blights, whatever, they're all designed by accident. They're created by accident, conjured up by those winds, those terrible winds that absorb the spirits and bind them into the elements. So let's kill them, I guess. They're basically like ghosts, but they're elemental ghosts, which is, I think, kind of a cool concept.
What?
Tell me.
There's some more. Okay.
Hi.
Burn damage probably won't be very good against these. Shock. What beats water?
What?
Or what beats earth? He's rock type. Oh, there's some flame spirits. Alright.
Lava will be unseen.
These things aren't too tough.
Good.
Okay. So it looks like this is going to be the elemental section, the blight section of the dungeon. Okay. Paper beats rock. Yes, if I had a book, I have several books, but I should just gather up all of those journal pages and throw them at the earth blights. They'll be covered, crushed to the ground, and I'll win. But I gotta look out, because if I ever encounter a scissor blight, I'm gonna be in huge trouble. You know what beats everything? Fireballs. Fireballs beat everything. Right? That's how the elements work? I don't know. My Pokemon theory is terrible. I feel like in a world of sort of default fantasy, when you're creating a new fantasy environment, you're creating a new world as a game designer, as a writer, whatever, you're always challenged by, what the hell is a wind prism? Pale undulating grooves, cool. You're always challenged by the specter of the games that came before, right? Like every game has to compete with games like it. In this case, you know, it's an explicit. Seems to be missing something. Round depression. So I think it's really interesting when the games make slight variation. Like this feels like it could take place in a D&D campaign setting, right? You make ciphers, you make chanters classes, you can maybe adjust all the other classes a little bit, you make some new races, and bam, you're good to go. But it's the little differences that I find most interesting, like the way this game treats souls, sort of mechanically, and like animancy as a thing. I think that the blights are a good example of that, where I'm interested in the way that the game surprises me out of my expectations from Dungeons and Dragons. One second. There we go. All right. So, you know, the blights, because they're not just elementals. They're not just conjured by magicians. They're an accident. They're more like ghosts than they are anything else. Oh, so this is the elemental dungeon. Check it out. Fire, grass. Cool. Okay. So this is a this is going to be one of those types of dungeons. All right. Do you have any water or ice spells? No. Okay. Oh, well, no. We've got Sunless Grasp. That might be useful. All right. Well, we'll just use our generic magic on them right now. Arcane type spells. And you two attack here. I've been struggling a bit because I really want to. God, I wanna keep using Pelagina, but I don't think she's good enough as a standalone tank for me to keep using her like on her own. Where's Aloth? Oh, Aloth, what are you doing? Forget what you were doing and switch places with Pelagina, I guess. And then run. Okay, everybody attack the same thing. We're all gonna take this Spectre out. And then, I don't know, maybe we can camp after that. Okay. Ooh, we are getting soundly surrounded at this point. Okay. Well, let's try to get people healed up. There we go. Okay, okay. Flames. Here we go. Because I can still use fire on the ghosts. Oh, he's getting royally beat on. Okay, we're gonna do the teleport again. Nope, we're not. Down he goes. Aloth the Fragile. Oh wow. That was intense. Okay, well, the fight's almost over, so that's good.
We're losing people.
Okay, great. Good work, everybody except Aloth. Aloth, you get an A for effort. Or a F for effort. I see. Okay. So they all have depression. This is the elemental depression zone. God, I would not want to fight a depression elemental. Heavy.
Que?
Okay. So, I'm guessing there's going to be a blue room over here somewhere. Reminds me of the Temple of Elemental Evil from
I'll see what I can find.
Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Beware, traveler. Greater souls than yours walk here. Turn back. Keep your courage and your spirit for the light. The Elemental Council up here.
How may I help?
Well, let's introduce ourselves to them, shall we? Some greater blights. Alright, alright. Let us cross our fingers. Let's see what happens.
Eh?
Spectres too, huh? Alright, more fireballs. Just throw all the fireballs. Alright, defensive bubble. And we'll just keep trying to freeze them as they get up to me. Yeah, Rising Cosmos points out, I've interrupted their attempt to summon Captain Planet. Is there a heart blight? Where's my drop a pillar on them attack?
The archers won't come around.
Okay, alright. So we're taking this one step at a time here. I'm playing a little more cautious than I would otherwise, because these greater flame blights are pretty tough.
Yeah.
And also I lost all my other dudes in that last fight, which was a bummer. So we all know you gotta take care of your dudes. Let's focus on the wind. No, yeah, focus on this wind blight. Dragons, get him.
Yeah. For the Republic. Permet Kong Swoli.
Oh dear, she needs healing. Well, let's everybody heal her all at once. Let's see if someone can pull the heal off. Here we go. Much better.
Tell me. Permet Kong Swolias. Permet Kong Swolias.
Well, I'm sorry about your Captain Planet, but you know.
Good.
Some armor found on a dead body.
I'll see what I can find.
Oh, alright, so there's something in that depression this time. More sacrificial bodies. So maybe those blights were created on purpose or created by specific magic. Because these sacrifices seem to be fairly intentional. So I wonder if they're related or if the blights are from some other source.
For the Republic.
So many blights.
Permet Kong Swolias.
So, fairly unimpressive set of blights, those ones.
I understand.
Which is nice. It's nice to see that I can still win fights wholesale without having to worry too much.
Slowly now.
Just the greater ones seem to be a little tricky for me. Oh, there's another prism. So what have I got so far? The game's taking it easy on me and labeling them. I've got a wind prism and a fire prism.
Tell me.
Alright. I guess we might as well go deal with this flame blade here. I'm sure that it has friends. Hastily dispatched. I can't help but feel like this section's a bit of a cliche. Like, you know, it's
Tell me.
and like I said, it goes back to the whole Temple of Elemental Evil thing, where it's like, you know, the wind section of the dungeon and the earth section of the dungeon and the puzzle that requires that you do stuff with all the different elements. Like, the line between something feeling cliche and something feeling like sort of classic or like a classic homage can be very narrow sometimes. I mean, I'm enjoying the dungeon. Like, it's nice to take a break from fighting the same monsters. And in a lot of ways, dungeons are kind of exempt from the natural, like, laws of the universe. But it's also a little... That's a little tiresome to be like, okay, cool, so it's an elemental dungeon. You know, I feel like that's a thing that we can do better as game designers. I like dungeons that have themes. I think that's cool. Or if it's a mega dungeon like this one, certain levels have different thematic elements to them. But the elemental thing does feel a little bit kind of, I don't know, kind of cliche.
Good.
Though it does force me to choose different tactics for each. So like you'll notice in the top of the screen, I can't really point with my mouse, or you might not notice, it's underneath my webcam. When I hover over the particular blights, it shows me their different defenses. So, for example, the wind blights are resistant to cold. The fire blights are resistant to fire, as you might imagine. And so I'm forced to use different tactics against each type of enemy. So, a bit like we described before when I was talking about having to use crushing weapons against skeletons, I think that presenting particular challenges based on class stuff or based on gear can be a really good way to
Tell me.
yeah, a really good way to challenge characters, to challenge players. Oh, good. So all I have to do is click on them.
Tell me.
Yeah, I mean, I like dungeons that have a theme, but I find elemental as a theme to be about as exciting as like undead as a theme. You know, it's not that I don't like themed dungeons in general. It's that specifically I find this theme to be sort of tedious, I guess. Ooh, there we go. I've ignited the fire furnace. I think I should rest. I think I should, for the sake of Durance, because I don't want him to go down again. Even though that's my last.
I understand.
So, something to consider while we're dungeoning. One thing that I always thought was interesting about Diablo, because Diablo, especially Diablo 1, is very dungeon focused. It's very much about going into the dungeon environment, fighting monsters, and then dealing with some random slimes, and dealing with those. But it does so in this incredibly, like, I don't even know how to say it. It's basically ignoring the fact that you need any kind of verisimilitude in a dungeon environment. That, like, okay, cool, you have these scrolls that let you just skip all the boring stuff about a dungeon, pop back to town, pop back into the dungeon, and it bypasses all of the need for any kind of believability. Like, you never get away with that in a role-playing game at the table. To be like, yeah, you can just go back to town whenever you want, it's not really an issue. It allows you to ignore the danger of time spent going in and out, but it also allows you to skip all of the boring, like, potentially randomly encountering stuff that you're way too tough to fight, wasting your time fighting things that aren't going to give you any experience. It really focuses on the game environment aspect of the dungeon, which I think is very cool. Like, I think that it's a completely valid choice from a game design perspective. And, like, you can run Dungeons and Dragons that way. You can say, I mean, look at Torchbearer. Like, Torchbearer has a town portal mechanism built right into it. The cartography, so this is a cool trick. If you haven't read or played Torchbearer, it's got a mechanic in it where if your character spends most of the time in the dungeon, if you spend at least a little time in each room with paper and a quill, and you make a map. Your character makes a map of the dungeon. The players don't have to make an exact map. They just write down the list of rooms as you visit them. If your character does that, then you can make a cartography skill at any time based on the difficulties given in the book to just escape the dungeon. To be like, okay, I'm going to make a cartography skill, we're going to follow our map, and we're going to leave. And if you fail the skill, there might be a random encounter, or something bad might happen, you might get lost, something like that. But you don't have to describe, and the GM doesn't have to describe room by room how you get away from the dungeon, which I think is super cool. So it's a new or new-ish method of doing that, like, town portal dungeon situation. I think it's very cool. But what's not very cool is not having the key for this door. So I'm still missing one portal.
I'm ready.
One portal key, one of those little pyramids. Yeah, or more. Yeah. Well, let's just keep going. There's more rooms to explore in this area. Yeah, I mean, as far as games that do dungeon crawl, like tabletop role games that do dungeon crawl well, there's really two that do it the best in my mind. There's Dungeons and Dragons, and ultimately, like, the first edition. And there's Torchbearer. So those two games, I think, do, and they do it a little bit. Each one does the game, the dungeon crawl thing a little differently. But those would be my go-to outside of Dungeon World for if I wanted to play a dungeon crawl RPG.
Wait.
So much beating. Can you teleport away, Aloth, please? Can you just get out of here? Switch with Kane. He's tougher than you. Go stand over here, you wuss. Go. Come on, Kane. Jeez. Those shades, yeah, it's really hard to maintain any kind of board control, any kind of control on this. Okay. Well, I beat them, so that's nice. There's a lot of money on that skeleton. There we go. The rain prism and the key for that other room. Cool.
My eyes are peeled.
Let's sneak back up that way. It's funny, I don't think that those specters would be quite so annoying if the game didn't have such stringent mechanics for attacks of opportunity. Like, that's the only reason that they're tricky. They just teleport away and you can't control them. And I think that's valid. It's valid to have monsters. Like, here's the thing, they build you build mechanisms and then you create characters or monsters or powers that break the rules, that ignore those mechanisms, and that's what makes them exceptional within the game. Ooh. Plot stuff. Oh no. So he just got attacked by the skeletal wizard. Okay, sure.
Settle.
It's just one wizard.
For
Deal
the
with it.
Republic.
Dealt with.
This was Gabranos. This was the great scholar I was looking for.
What was left of him? I'm sure he had more flesh on him in life. You said he controlled the elements. Looks like this is what he used that for. But why? He traveled everywhere. I found traces of his work on 2 separate continents. And he ends his days here, doing this? Was this the source of all that knowledge? Those experiments out there? The bodies? He was one man. It doesn't mean you were wrong about the rest of it. Knowledge takes sacrifice. Their knowledge didn't save them. Or that... He was one man. Maybe, but I was wrong about him for certain. I took him for an inspiration. I wanted... Oh, never mind. Let's find the tablet and get out of here. Yes, let's do that.
I'm on the trail.
Earth Prism. Some chew.
This can't be it. But the symbols. No. I was so close.
Aw, poor guy.
Look, you can see there's his name. And these symbols. Virtue. Gods, the rest is too worn away. There must be something, a verse, even a word. Be like unto the waves. Be wrathful as the sea. Anything. Is there really nothing? Not even to explain this?
Kana looks about the room, his shoulders slumped. He bends over the shattered fragments, pulling the largest of them together, removing a rolled piece of paper and a stick of charcoal from his pockets. He sets about forlornly making a few rubbings. Well, that was a waste of time. Maybe you can salvage some small part of it. Isn't it enough that you found it? What? This shattered mess. I might as well bring back an empty piece of parchment. Kana sighs and sets down his charcoal. He gazes down at the fragments. But it existed once. It was here, whole. Maybe you're right. The tablet was here, and you still have the phrase you found in Ixamiddle. You were right. Tell that to the Lore College. Think of what you've learned. We're the first people in 2,000 years to descend this far. Whatever was on that tablet, your people made the Tanvi or Otoa on their own. The Ingwithans destroyed themselves. You can stop digging around for dead Ingwithans. We can go. We got an adventure out of it. Alright, well let's... I'm going to try to be encouraging. That is true enough. There were already differences in phrasing, but much of the chant has changed, even in the past centuries. Better for us to go our own way than follow Gabranos' example. That does little to ease our conflicts. Be glad to get out of this place, I think. I could use some air. Well, kinda too bad we're staying down here. 'Cause it's adventuring time. Oh, cool. A two-handed wand. So let's compare that wand with what we got. So, Elowin Ain. Same damage, pierce and crush instead of crush and slash. Plus 4 accuracy, plus 1 point of damage. This one is faster. This one does freeze damage and interferes. Alright, I'll just give them both. Let's try this one out for a while.
Tell me.
Poor Kana. Alright, so I guess this is the rain one. There we go. And then, did I do this one yet? The earth one. Yep, no, it's not the earth one anyway. What do I have in my inventory? Let's take a quick look here. Yeah, okay, so it is the Earth Prism, I was right. I'm guessing this one. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Tell me. Tell me. Good.
Have I activated them all? Is something supposed to happen? Fire we did, so fire is on. Yep, okay. Set up the puzzle pretty good. Alright, earth is good. Open that door and that leads me onward. And that one's on. Okay, well, I've activated all the devices. I think I've seen all the rooms in this level, so maybe it activates something. Maybe it activates something on another level. I don't think there's anything else here. Okay, well, whatever. Let's continue on. It's possible that it does something else on this level. Like, I would have thought that it would have opened this door, but I could just open the door by clicking, so... Whatever, we'll continue on. I've seen every room in there. If I'm missing something, so be it. It's a long game. There's plenty to see. Let's just check on my castle using my magic cell phone here. Let's buy... Oh, it's still working. Oh, I just got taxes. I'm doing okay money-wise. That's good. And... Oh, that's an intense door. This might be the part of the game at which I need higher mechanics to be worth doing. Alright, I'm gonna fight these guys and then I think we're gonna leave. So let's fight these dudes and then we'll get out of the dungeon. Oh, that's a shame. Triggering that trap in the middle of a fight. Okay. Alright.
Tell me.
Audnois, we're gonna come back to you later. You can shoot magic missiles at us then.
And what does the flame reveal?
We need one of those fast
You must
travel
gather your party
staircases.
before venturing forth.
Tell me.
Okay. Making our way out. Yeah, so far some interesting stuff in the it's funny, I'm not super engaged in the main quest. Like, I'm digging all the like little side like lore that I discovered. That I'm discovering, but I'm not I don't really care about Theos. It's not okay, so it's not as extreme as the it's not as extreme as my detachment from the main quest in Skyrim, because that was like totally checked out. And it's not as, inversely, it's not as, I'm not as engaged as I was in the main quest in Fallout 2, but I'm finding the main quest in this kind of a side note. I'm enjoying exploring all the little other stuff. I find it more exciting, more interesting right now. Just, I guess, because I'm really interested in the world.
You must gather your party
now, I
before
sent
venturing forth.
my hombre on a quest, Adar, And I'm gonna go and check out what he found when he came back from that quest. So, what is the state of the keep? Oh, okay, so this just accesses the adventure here. Okay, I'm going to assign him back to that mission in just a second, but I want to go see what I got. Yay, money! I also want to take his equipment and trade it around because I want that two-handed sword. So let's see how we can do that. Do I have to recruit him into my party? I do, don't I? Alright, fine.
Hey.
Oh, he gained a level while I was gone. Congratulations, you silly-looking goof. You're a great dude. Body control. His body is ready. Superior deflection. Body control seems pretty good. Paralyzed, petrified, sick, and stunned, weakened. Bull's will. Bear's fortitude. Dog's breakfast. We'll take. I don't know. Should I take Wary Defender? Maybe I should take Wary Defender. Yes. Okay, buddy. I kind of want to put him back on my team. But I also really like Pelagina. Curse this game! Curse it! Alright, fine. I'll take your two-handed sword. I'm sorry. And then we're gonna get rid of it. Keep. Sorry, friend. But you can go on missions alone, like a cool dude. Here, I still love you. Go on this average adventure. Bye.
I've led worse.
Aw, so mean. I'm sorry, Adar. Alright, so let's give Adar's 200 to her. Was it Justice? Yeah, there we go. Cool. Alright, Eustace.
Tell me.
Let's go. What I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna finish Sagani's main quest line, and then I'll swap her and Adar. Also, I can swap Adar out if I need to get into a more tanky fight. Unfortunately, I will have to come back to get him, but whatever. That's fine. I don't mind that too much.
I'm ready. Ah.
How do I rest in this place? I go lie down in the bed. Okay. Alright, game. Let's take a look at my quests. So this is a Act 3 thing. This is that goddamn dragon. This is Act 3, I think, Twin Elms. I'm working on this. That's an ongoing quest. I don't know why I need to get Defiance Bay up. I need that working, but I'll come back. Maybe I'll just go through to Direford Village. Deer Dire, whatever. That village. Also, this music is so Lord of the Rings. It feels really, really out of place. You know, Shire tunes. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm good. I'm good with who I got. To the Woodend Plains. Woodend Plains. Thankfully, they're not the Woden Plains, because then I'd have to gouge an eye out and probably get hit by lightning. But I think I'm safe for now. Okay. Gorge. So I've been in there before. Yeah, I haven't fully explored this area yet. So let's do that now.
Tell me.
Should I explore the rest of this area? I don't know when I'm going to be coming back here again. I might as well. So let's clear the area. Oh, Elder Lion. I never understood why when games are like, look, I'm fighting lions, I'm fighting Elder Lions. Wouldn't an Elder Lion be easier to fight than a younger one? I mean, I assume. Maybe it is. But a lot of the time in the games, like the Elder version, if they're not dragons, they're lions. An old lion isn't tougher than a young one. Like, it's not like Pliny the Elder could take on Pliny the Younger in a fight. Maybe they just have more XP, they're higher levels. Members of the Elder Lions Council. It's the funny thing that games do sometimes. It's the same as like how sometimes games will give you, Final Fantasy games do this a lot, where they give you like gold armor. It's like, I hope it's magic, because actual gold would be terrible to make armor out of. Maybe those were lion clerics. They're powerful lion clerics, and that's why they're dangerous. Okay, all the phone. Oh, Durance. Alright, Tanky. Heal yourself.
Now's the time to use it. Eh?
Yes? Roll up 10!
Thanks for showing up to the fight, skeletons. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Skin these lions. Sorry, Simba. A dead body. A dead adventurer, no less. I've seen my fair share of those. And bin them, I guess. Okay. Oh, who's this? Hiravias. Ooh, hey. A person. Chewing on a piece of uncooked meat, a small Orlan in tattered leathers offers a mumbled greeting and waves his hand. Despite his pleasant smile, the upper portion of his face in a sorry state. An eye patch, stitched with a stylized eyeball, wraps around his head. His ear is a mangled remnant that twitches and spasms, while the other ear perks up at your approach. Next to him is the splayed carcass of a deer that appears ripped open by a bear or a wolf. You hear a gurgling rumble next to you. Sagani places a hand on her stomach. Her eyes are on the carcass. Still fresh. Creepy, Sagani. Itamak's pink tongue lolls out of his mouth.
If this is your deer, you need a new game warden. Name's Hiravias. Hungry? I can't eat all this. First catch of the day. Help yourself.
You might want to cook that first.
And ruin the original texture? That's the best part. Just see for yourself.
Nothing like a little deer sashimi.
Eat up.
His one eye locks yours and he tears off several inches of intestine with one ripping bite. Ew, why would you eat intestine raw? Do you know what's in that? Blech.
So delicious. Now I know the deer had elderberries for its last meal.
Yeah, gross.
Sure you don't want to try some?
What killed that deer?
One ornery Stelgar. Though looking at the deer's insides, it had a malformed but delicious heart, and would have been dead within the year regardless. Galloway chose a fitting end for this fine animal. Pardon me, I shouldn't pray with my mouth full.
What brings you
Other
here?
than the delicious venison, new trees to document, new animals to sketch, new sights to be seen. I've learned as much as I can from the druids of my circle.
He's a
I'd rather
druid.
wander and learn than take root and stagnate. So if you're traveling the Deerwood and need another set of hands, I'd welcome the safety of a group.
A druid's assistance would be
I'm
welcome.
trained by the celebrants of Hawk and Ivy of the Fisher Crane tribe. I know more than my share of nature magic, and, well, I don't shy away from a good fight.
Cool.
I have business with the druids that live near Twin Elms.
You're welcome to join us.
So long as we find ourselves there eventually, I'm happy to follow along.
He looks like Fry from Futurama.
Splendid! It'll be an honor to
One-eyed
work with
Fry.
you for a change.
You can... Welcome to the team. Now go to my castle. Stay there. Do quests.
Tell me.
I'm a druid. I want to explore the natural world. And nope, servant. Castle servant now. Go back home. You live in my house now, you tiny man. Do as I say. Just terrible. Really just the worst.
Tell me.
Kind of ironic, really. Like,
I understand.
if only he'd known what he was getting himself into. Do you have any quests for him, at least? No. Adar's going on the only quest. I guess that guy's gonna be scrubbing the floors. Okay, so this cliff just leads down into the ocean. Look, I'm not doing it because he's in Orland. I'm doing it just because, you know, he's around, and I don't really have room for a druid right now, okay?
You must gather your party.
Yes, Leafington, you have it exactly. Here's your French maid outfit. Now, get to work. Pure Orland. Poor little creature. Gosh. Fantasy. Alright. So, I'm going to save here, and we'll take a short break, because it is on the hour, and we'll come back and continue with our playthrough of Pillars of Eternity. I'm going to be exploring this... I'm going to go visit this grieving mother. I don't know what she's about, but let's go have a conversation with her. So we'll start there when we get back, and we'll see everybody soon.